Henry, right?
Yeah.
I'm Delilah.
Yeah, that's what the guy said on the phone.
So, what's wrong with you?
Excuse me?
People take this job to get away from something. So, what's wrong?
What's wrong with you?
That's a great idea. Go ahead.
Look, I just hiked for 2 days, so I don't really follow whatever it is you're doing right now.
You take a stab at what's wrong with me.
Fine, then can I sleep forever?
Sure, buddy. Okay, now go ahead.
Okay, you've killed 3 husbands. You're a black widow and you're just out here until the heat dies down and then you'll kill again.
Ooh, very good. Bravo, Henry.
Okay, I sleep now?
Not quite. Now you.
Okay, good night, bye.
Let's see. I don't know anything about you, but 9 times out of 10, folks out here simply got dumped.
Huh, is that it?
Close?
Good night.
Good night. Welcome to the job.
So I pre-ordered Firewatch 3 or 4 days ago, and I played it the day it came out. Finished it and all. It took me 3 hours and 15 minutes approximately to finish the whole game, so it's not a big game in that sense, certainly, but I enjoyed it. It's important when describing Firewatch that you do compare it to other games in its genre. If you will, it draws comparisons to things like Dear Esther, and rightly so, since both games are predominantly about walking to places. Thing is, see, Firewatch isn't Dear Esther, because Dear Esther is shite, and Firewatch isn't. Here's why. First, Firewatch looks fucking brilliant. It's got this beautiful color palette, and it's almost Team Fortress 2-esque art style lends itself to this almost fantasy escape that the main character Hank is trying to go on to get away from his life. I mean, look at this view.
Hello, Henry. Having a nice afternoon?
I might never leave.
Sure, I've seen stunning views in games for years. I mean, 2 days ago, playing Star Citizen, I shot down some aliens in the light of a dying sun. But that's the thing, Star Citizen is in fucking space, and Firewatch is in Wyoming, USA. It managed to encapsulate the real world in such a beautiful fashion, and honestly, I didn't think it would be able to do that, but it did it, and it's that grounding in the real world that makes the color palette and the art style and the game itself really pop. Second and most important for me is it's got the best fucking dialogue I've heard in years.
There are, panties?
There are what?
I don't want to say that word again.
Why, 'cause you're 12?
Now, I don't mean the voice acting itself was amazing, though it was certainly good. No, I mean the actual words being said, and how the characters were saying them was so natural that I forgot this game was scripted. I might as well be listening to an actual conversation between these characters. From inflections to the banter, to the wit, to the jokes, to the way that Delilah, the voice on the other end of your radio, hints that she wants to have sex with Hank. I'm almost convinced these two voice actors sat opposite each other in a booth and just held a conversation. Except they didn't, and in making me think they did, Firewatch stands out. Even big AAA games like Mass Effect or Dragon Age or The Witcher have shitty dialogue in places. But what's their excuse? They have the money to not do that. And here's a small company with no games to their record, making a game with better writing and dialogue than they do. Third, Firewatch has finally hit the nail on the head for how to do an arty game without just being a shit game. See, games don't need diverging story paths, they don't need skill trees, they don't even need you to be hitting things with an axe or shooting things with a gun, or any action at all to be good games. What's important is, do I actually interact in some way with the game? And is it telling a convincing story? Now, not every game needs those necessarily, but a game like Firewatch or Dear Esther does. And thankfully, Firewatch has those two crucial aspects. Its story is cliched and a little simple on the whole, but it is well told and honestly quite tense at points. Couple this with the method by which you interact with Delilah as Hank via selecting conversation options when you can and transmitting over the radio. It's essentially just a simple Mass Effect or Fallout 4 style dialogue system, but it keeps you interacting with that great dialogue I mentioned earlier just to see what the characters say. 90% of the stuff you can say is optional. You don't have to do any of them half the time. And it won't change anything in the story, but the characters will change, they'll comment on past discussions, and you really will feel like you've evolved this relationship with a woman you can't even see. In DRS, there's some bloke talks at you for a bit, and that's pretty much the whole game.
Yep, it doesn't go through much.
If you need a game with end triggers and failure options and hitting shit with an axe and stuff, Firewatch isn't for you. But if you want a game that is all about the story, and I mean a pre-written story with a clear and concise ending, it's maybe your thing. It cost me $13 to buy the game before launch, and despite not wanting to play it again, it doesn't have much replayability. I feel like I got what I wanted out of those $13. Even at 3 hours playtime, nothing felt wasted or stalled. There's a moment I won't spoil where the mystery of the story is peaking almost, and Hank and Delilah have a moment that frightens them both.
Did you just cough?
No. Did you just cough?
No.
Oh, fuck.
Fuck.
And see, it involves your radio. The thing is, you have to know that this radio is your only connection to Delilah. You cannot go talk to her. She is miles off in another inaccessible Firewatch tower. And something interferes with your radio. Something interferes with your only connection to another human soul. And you feel violated by it. You feel taken aback, just in the way the characters do. And honestly, when it happened, I had goosebumps. And it wouldn't be possible if the dialogue wasn't as good as it was, if the game hadn't drawn me in with its beautiful visuals and made me want to progress to see what the characters say. Anyway, it's a fucking cracking game, and I'd love to see more like it. As long as it never gets too pricey, around £15 was sort of my limit on the game, to be honest with you. But something a bit longer, with a little more interaction, could definitely spell a revival of this type of traditional adventure gaming. That can't be a bad thing.